Awesome, and welcome tonight to another show of Let's Talk About Ice on the Couch, crossing live from the Gold Coast. But today we're actually going from here and doing a live interview across in Bendigo, in Victoria. So we've been privileged with an amazing young lady who has been in recovery now, was it 4 years? 6 years, wow. And she's agreed to share her story in hope that others can actually learn from that and not go down the same path that we've had to go down. But before I go on and introduce this amazing young lady, just a couple of housekeeping things. Just wanted to remind everybody about the Mother's Day raffle. Now, if you haven't got your tickets yet for the Mother's Day raffle, and you can do so still online, we've got it on our Facebook page, and we've also got it on our webpage, and that's www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. You can go into our shop and you can purchase your Mother's Day raffle ticket, and it's $5 for a raffle ticket for this amazing prize valued over $200, and you actually get 2 chances to win. So it is only for Gold Coast based participants, because we can't post this out to another state. So if you are on the Gold Coast, or even in Beenleigh or Brisbane or Tweed, we can arrange delivery, or you can come and pick it up. But yeah, if you want to get your raffle ticket and help out our Mother's Day raffle, all the proceeds go towards helping us educate more youth on the dangers of ice. So they're $5 a ticket. We've got things like, we've got jewellery in there. You've got an amazing plush robe here, which I really, really love. I'm hoping I'll win it. We've got skincare, hair voucher for hairdressers. You got perfume, a makeup case, and yeah, there's just all amazing soaps and bath bombs and cushions, and well, there's a bottle of wine. No, we shouldn't be advertising that. But there's nightcap, cover for your eyes so you can get a good night's sleep, and soap, and yeah, it's just amazing. And you've got a beautiful cushion here. It says "Mum is another word for love." So guys, if you haven't got your ticket yet, it's only $5. What's that? Oh, you got like a little writing pad so you can write love notes to your mum. And yeah, I just want to get that plush robe on. It looks amazing. So if you haven't got your ticket yet, you can do that on our webpage, or send us a message. We'll tell you how to get that. They're $5
plus.
Oh, you get 2 for 1.
Just like twins.
It's just like having twins, Leanne wants me to tell you. I don't know what having twins is like, guys, but yeah, you purchase 1, you get 2 tickets. Okay, so you buy 1, get 1 free. So it's a bargain, and you have 2 chances to win, and we'll be drawing that next Thursday, okay, on the show. So you still got time. You got 1 week to do that, so you can do that online. And guys, I just want to do a big shout out to the Gold Coast Rotary Club, because they did have some items for auction for AARC at their last do. So thank you so much to the Gold Coast Rotary Club for helping us educate more youth on the dangers of ice. Thank you to Brent Boardman from Eagle Trailers, who are our official sponsors for Neo, and that's not even once, guys. And we've got our t-shirts and our caps and our mugs, and you can purchase these products on our shop as well, and all the proceeds go towards doing what we do. So apart from education, we help families that are in crisis. We also help people that are in an addiction, to help them create a pathway into recovery. We buddy up with them. Our presenters or educators buddy up with people out there that want help, and we help them step into recovery and create a new life, a life they love, and with purpose. And so, yeah, so if you are out there and you want to get involved, please volunteer with us on our webpage. That's www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. And yeah, I think that's all. With Neo Update, we're in the process of putting together a gym range. So we've got some muscle tops and some singlets coming out, and don't forget our caps and our winter beanies that, oh no, she's going to throw stuff at me again. Our winter beanies, guys. That's Leah, she just loves throwing stuff at me. I go, and this one as well. Oh, thank you, Leanne. Bad hair day. Guys, you can purchase your Neo products at on our shop. That's www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. Guys, we can't continue doing what we do without your help, right? We are an unfunded, non-for-profit charity, and without the community support, we can't do what we do. So, these products, I know it sounds like a bit of a plug, but that's the only way that we can continue. You guys purchase products or do a donation. It's 100% tax deductible. You can do that. You can join our army, okay? And our army, there's a petition to government, and you can make a small monthly contribution, which helps us help more people and continue the great work that we do. So if you want to help and you feel in your heart that you know somebody that's struggling with addiction, or you want to protect the future generation, now's the time to act. Yeah, you can do that on our webpage, www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. And if you need help out there, guys, our contact number is 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. If you are a family member and you have a loved one that's entrapped in addiction and you don't know what to do and you want some advice and some help, we're here to help you with advice and to be able to help you bring your loved one to into recovery. So we'll do everything that we can to give you as much information and resources and to walk with you in that journey. So we have counsellors, we have family support people, and if you're that person that's in addiction that's received this link, guys, many of us have been able to come out of that entrapment. I'm one of them, and I know that you can do it too. And I've had a lot of support and help, and our team are here. We've all been through it, and we're here to help you step out of that hell and to step into a place where you love your life. What is that noise beeping? Oh, we're having some... Oh, maybe that's gone flat.
That's Sputnik.
Oh. Okay, so we're are we ready to cross live? Okay, we have an amazing young lady coming on the show, and her name is Sammy. She has been through an incredible journey, I hear. I haven't had the opportunity to chat with her yet, but I'm really looking forward to hearing her story. She works in community services now, and she gives back to her community. And we do this show, guys, so that we can shed light on what goes on inside somebody's head, or behind the actions of somebody that has been through addiction. What were they thinking? Why were they behaving the way they were? What actually happens when you become addicted to ice? And we do this in hope that other people don't do the same thing. The long-term repercussions of this drug is lifelong. It really is. And mental health, depression, kidneys, liver, heart, memory issues, and so we just are banding together across the nation in the fight against ice, in hope that other people don't have to go there, and we can change the next generation from that entrapment. So Sammy, thank you so much. You'll have to pardon me, camera, my views here. So thank you for being on the show, Sammy, and thank you for wanting to share your story. It really means a lot.
Hi there. Hi there. Thank you so much for having me.
And Sammy, you've got your kids in the back now, and in the background there, I see you have had quite a journey, and I believe, you had your child, you got pregnant with your child, which helped you make a decision to get clean, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, heaps
So
my reasons.
That's awesome, and you're a good enough reason. Whether you whether you have kids or not, your life is worth living, and not destruction. So I'm so glad that you're out of that space. But I want to go into a little bit about, I guess when did you get introduced to drugs, and was ice your first drug of choice, or were you doing other drugs prior to that? So if we can go back, to how old were you when you were first introduced to drugs?
Well, I grew up in a small town. So it was really did around with the wrong people. Starting off with marijuana. So that was in 2012. You know, my parents were home. And then I just sort of, I think, run amok from that point on. Turned rebellious. I just didn't want to listen to anybody. The rules didn't apply to me. You have to excuse me, there's a lot of backbeat.
Just bear with me a moment. Are we having a problem with the sound?
No, I think it's on my end.
Okay, so maybe...
I think we might. Yeah, so it was just hanging around with the wrong people and pressure, I think. And then bad relationship on the scene. Marijuana advanced from that to speed. I took on speed time, and it's so readily available. So yeah, that's a little bit about how I sort of got into it. And about 15 years ago, it worked out. So quite some time ago, 20 years now, 20 years ago. So yeah, about 20 years ago now.
Yeah, sorry. We're just losing a bit of sound here. Brad, I can't... We're just trying to sort out with the sound issue. Just give us a minute, please.
No worries.
Can I get some enlightenment on what's happening?
Yeah, she's trying to listen to it. Can we... Is she talking?
No, because I can't hear her, Brad.
Yeah, everything should be good, yeah.
No, but when she speaks live here, I can't hear. So I need to be able to hear her on the speaker. Yes.
Is that not coming to the speaker? That should be the only sound should be the speaker right now.
Okay, Sammy, to ask Sammy to talk.
Sam, can you talk, please?
Yep.
See how it's really broken? It's really broken, so yeah, I can't hear. Can I have the phone?
Yeah.
Can you put your phone, have you called her?
It's going to, but we turn this one off.
Oh, not a live phone call.
Mm.
Is it a live
This
phone
is
call?
delayed.
Yeah, so can you ring her so I can speak to her like this?
Oh, okay. We ring her.
Oh, she's on her phone.
She's on
Okay.
her phone, I can't ring her.
Right, well, I'm going to do the best that I can, Sammy, because it's breaking up. The sound is breaking up on my side, and I can't really make out a lot of the stuff that you're saying. But online, they can hear you, so I'm going to wing it here a bit. So you started using marijuana, yeah? Is that right?
And then that went to and then after breakdown and weight issue became weight loss drug. And then a friend into eyes, but that came very late. When I started the ice, it's ridiculous, heartbreaking. What you do to get drugs, what you is just how to get your next hit. You know, I pushed everybody away that I loved. I lost houses, I lost everything, lost my job. You know, it's just
you just make bad choices after bad choices. There's no getting out of it when you are that far in addiction. And it just grabs you so fast, unlike any other drug. And yeah, so it's quite weird to talk about, I suppose, in the sense of, because now I look back on things and I just, you don't realize how much of a hold it had on you. It was your whole life. It was your whole life.
When you
You
first
get
started using, Sammy?
Pardon?
When you first started using ice, did you think, did you know what it was?
Um, I'll tell you something, and I don't. This is the first time I've actually talked about it with anybody, so you're in for a bit of a scoop. I met a fellow on the internet, and he introduced me to it, but I didn't realise. I thought that I was head over heels for this guy, and I didn't realise that he was actually grooming me to buy drugs off of him. And he's done. And later on, I found out he did it to a lot of people, but I was just somebody new on the internet that he needed to sell his drugs to really fast. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got the drug, was doing things, disgusting things that nobody in their right mind would do. And because I was on the New Start allowance, so I wasn't getting any money. And I'm certainly not a thief. I couldn't steal for the life of me. But unfortunately, females, I suppose, use what they've got to get the drugs, and that was themselves. And that's how I got the drugs. And that was the first time I got my drugs, was with a man from the internet who was trying to hook me. Yep.
So,
I don't think she can hear me.
and
She can hear me.
people don't realise how quickly, I hear a lot of people say to me, yeah, but didn't you know drugs are bad for you? Didn't you know, that, this was ice and what was going to happen? Like, did you know? Did you know that this was ice and what was actually about to take place, where that was going to take you, and the destruction that was going to come following that, that first use? Did you know? Did you understand?
Not at all. As I said, I come from a speed and marijuana background, and even chroming. I was an addicted chromer for many years, because in a country town it's hard to get hold of anything, or it used to be, not now. But ice was very new to me, and when this fellow introduced me to it, not only did I just shred the weight, I lost, I think it was like 60 plus kilos. And I've always been a big girl, but I just was losing the weight, and I was my whole troubled, lonely world just all of a sudden didn't become troubled and lonely. I become a different person. I become confident. I became just, I don't know, it made me feel just like Thor. I was the god. I felt like I was a goddess, and I just, it just opened my whole eyes to a different world than what we live in. It's quite interesting to try and explain, but what's reality now was not reality in this reality world. We made our own reality world. Some of the things that I did and seen while I was using was just, scary. And ice doesn't discriminate. Some of the people that I was using with were, people that were working operating theatres, people that were nurses, the people, I could go with a list of professional people that, use themselves. And it became a whole different world, that the real world didn't exist. It didn't exist at all.
We refer to that as Ice World, and it is. It's a life, that you've created in your mind, and at first it appears fun, like you said. You feel invincible, but very, very quickly, it really sucks you into this. I call it a hell, an entrapment that you can't get out of. What was what was that turning point for you, Sammy, that that you escalated or spiraled down into this place? What happened?
Well, I think, as I said, it was like a broken home, and I didn't like rules. As I said, my parents were wonderful parents. It's just they divorced, and I just decided that I wanted to be rebellious, and then I ended up in the foster care system, through no fault of anyone's but my own at that point, just being a naughty teenager. And then it was just bad choices, like just a set of bad choices, a set of the peer group pressure, and then it became just a one-track mind on how am I going to get this drug, and then it was not caring for anything in the process, to the stage where I even was dating dealers, and just so I could get the drug, and that's what it was, and I didn't care what I was doing to myself in that time. I just wanted the drug.
Yeah.
I don't know
becomes
how many
like air,
times.
doesn't it?
Pardon?
It becomes like air. We explain when we go into the schools and into communities, it's like if I cut off your air supply, you'll do whatever it takes to get it, even if it means hurting people around you, to take the next gasp of air. It's like air to an addict that needs the drug. To get out of that hell of psychosis and anxiety and depression. Did you go through some of that, Sammy? Have a chat about the mental health aspect?
Yeah, I didn't. I think that look, if you were to compare me, as I was saying to somebody today about, I've got some friends who unfortunately have gotten to the stage of being completely, just torn in the head. I just see it as being torn in the head, and unfortunately irreversible damage. And one of my friends actually lives in a mental institution, so through ICE. And I've lost, oh my goodness, I've lost so many friends. I remember 3 deaths just off the top of my head, that I can name that have died. One fellow died with the needle in his neck, and it caused the blockage straight away, an instant blockage. So that broke me. But it still didn't deter me from using the drug at that time. But and just like people that look, some of the stories, I'll give you just a couple of quick stories that I can recall that may just really to this day makes me think. I remember one fellow running from a guy with a chainsaw up a driveway, and he just, like Spider-Man, threw big sheets of glass just to run away. I just to go. Like how anybody could live through what he just did, I don't know. I've seen, I've had person pulling up or knocking on the door to chop me open and put me in a boot. So, the world of it, the people that you meet, it's quite scary. And, you've got to make do you want to live like that, or do you want to get out of that? Or, what do you do at that time? And I suppose the drug ice, it doesn't give you any negative thoughts, so you don't see the horror of that at the time.
Yeah. And when we're doing education, we talk about ice hijacking the frontal lobe of the brain, where a person's able to make logical, rational decisions and process something. So if you're going to, do something, you think about it, and then you'll say, no, I won't do that because I might end up dead or in jail, or that might be bad for me. But ice stops a person from being able to do that because of what it actually does for the frontal lobe of the brain. So, you don't realize what you're actually doing, even though you're present in the body, but without being able to process, you're doing things that you wouldn't normally do and putting yourself and others in danger.
Yes, very much so. And I'm pretty sure, like just even like driving, for instance, I don't know how many times I was driving so far under the influence. And I actually wanted to talk to you about you like touch base again with the mental side of things. I remember sitting in my flat, and back then we used to joke about it when we're high, but counting how many shadow ninjas would run across the room. And that's when you know that you've been awake for like, 8-10 days in a row. And you haven't eaten and you're barely drinking and you're barely alive, but you're seeing shadow ninjas run across the room, which is just, figment of the imagination. But you're laughing at that. What person in their right mind would laugh at something like that? You that's scary. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, unbelievable. The things that you see on it, and my brothers, me and my brother are completely different. Unfortunately, he's in a different state, but he's too far. I say too far into it now, and we're trying to, what can you do? It comes down to a choice, I feel. And some people, like, they just, how much guidance can you give somebody? You can give them love, but how much guidance? Yeah. But with me, like, I didn't do rehab. I've been to rehab for chroming. And I came out of rehab, and unfortunately, I think I was just not ready to give up myself. So of course I went back to it. With the ice, I did it cold turkey because, when your baby's car seat is searched by the police, that was my very, very final step, and to say, I don't even want to be around these people. I don't want to use anymore. My baby is my baby, and, I'm all he's got. So you've got to, make that choice. Do I want him in a welfare system, or do I want to have this one shot at being a mum and be the best mum that I can possibly be? And I'm not telling everybody it's easy, because I'll tell you, it's not easy. It's not as easy as what I just made it sound. As I was saying on the phone earlier on, it's the flashbacks, the whole flashbacks of, having two, I used to call them trench men, turn up at your front door, looking for somebody in your flat with a chainsaw, running up the driveways with a chainsaw, and people flying through glass, playing chicken on the road with random cars, and, injecting just whatever you can find, because, the ice just isn't enough and you want more, and you don't, know what's, what is your limit when you're that high. You just don't know. You think you're, invincible. So of course you want more and more and more. $650 a day. I don't even get that in a fortnight, so imagine what I did to get that money per day.
And that's where,
I know that I'm not.
Girls end up in prostitution, and in jail, and in serious problems, from, I guess, doing things, either dealing or stealing, or and putting themselves at risk to get the next hit, because you don't know how you're going to do the next day without it. So you were using $650 a day, and losing control of your life. What was your thought process behind that, Sammy? Like, could you see that you were...
I could see that I was self-destructing, but I didn't care, because I had pushed my family away by this time. Even though my mum's always going to be there for me, I still pushed her away. So in my mind, the real world didn't exist. I was so far in this make-believe ice world that's what I thought was the normal. I was scared to talk to people, even over the counters at shops, because I felt like they weren't normal. I was normal. I was the normal one, they weren't. And, and when you get to that point, that's when, thinking of it now being straight, that's when I probably should have thought, hey, maybe I'm in trouble here, because I just wasn't able to adapt with anyone. I wasn't able to do shopping like a normal person. The only time I'd go near a bank was just to get the money out to go and find a dealer. The only time I'd go to a fuel station was only to get fuel to go and find a dealer. The only time I'd get phone credit was to get on, internet dating sites to track down a guy that's said, you know, puff 199, whatever. So, you know, like I was always on the lookout. I'd never ever stood on a street, but these days, you know, unfortunately, there's so many different other methods. You don't have to. You can do it from the comfort of your own lounge suite. So, you know, it's just this world. It's a world of its own, and unfortunately, once you're in that world, I don't even know like how I was lucky enough to snap out of it. I really don't, because as I said, I've got friends who have just lost it all, some with their life. I remember meeting a young girl at the age of 16, she was, and I kind of big sistered her, but in a drug sense, I suppose. But oh my goodness, she'd just stand in a mirror and with tweezers and pick pimples all day. And this beautiful girl was just, you know, sores, covered in sores. I was the same with tweezers, you know, like, you know, you think that you've got ingrown hairs, or you think that you've got a hair and there's no hair there, and you will pick, or you think that there's something under your skin, so you will pick at it and pick at it. I remember once that I picked so hard here. I'm lucky I'm not scarred, but it left a massive sore right there. And then I had to go and see my mum for the first time in a while. And I thought, what am I going to tell my mum? And I ended up telling her that I fell on the gutter and gravel rashed my face. But that took, because, you know, ice also weakens your immune system. So that took months to heal. And, you know, makeup just wasn't covering it because it would just look like cement on a hole, you know. You know, some people, you know, I've seen people that are just missing half noses through picking, you know, and that breaks my heart. And especially with this 16-year-old girl who was just, I seen jump in a car with a carload full of, you know, 40, 50-year-old men, and she's gone with them. And, you know, that broke my heart. And, you know, she wouldn't listen, obviously, to me because I was frightened for her, of course. But I didn't. I probably could have done more to stop her going, but I didn't.
You were on the gear as well, so how can you help somebody when you're actually using and not being able to process what's going on, really? And that's the thing, Sammy, you know, people don't realise what's about to take place when they say, I'll just have a try, or I'll just have a puff. And this is the lifestyle that they end up in. I mean, I bet that you never bargained for that. Bargain to see your friends die off, and watching this world of horror around you. I bet that's not what you wanted to do with your life.
No, it's not. I had dreams. You know, I've had a lot of dreams. So, but I lost focus of those dreams. I've always wanted to be a mum. My main dream was to be a mum. And I was told that I had a 3% chance of having a baby. That's with IVF. So, because I got some serious medical issues, gynecology-wise. So, you know, having a baby was out of my reach, and I, you know, didn't care really. I just felt like, you know, whatever, this is me. I'm just going to cruise through life and enjoy and party up as much as I want. You know, life's no good unless you're enjoying it kind of outlook. But that was, you know, in that world. And, you know, as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, and I thought I was having a nervous breakdown. I was in probably the worst time of my life. I was that drug affected. I gave up a beautiful apartment in East Malvern, and I moved. The guy that I was with at the time, he was a dealer, very, very bad kind of dealer. And he made me sign a lease in, you know, the suburbs somewhere. And then you know, he locked me out of the house once he got all my furniture and stuff in. And then I went there, and that house that I just signed the lease for, the flat, I was locked out. So I actually was homeless. So I was living on my friend's couch, very addicted to the stage where I was a walking scab, basically. I was just looked awful. No makeup could cover it. And my life was over. I was actually even contemplating suicide at that time. And I went to the doctors because I thought I was having a breakdown. I was so unwell. And then he said, no, you're pregnant. And I just said, whoa, like, why now in this time of my life? Why? But I know now, like, I'm not a believer in God, but I tell you, something up there has obviously given me this opportunity and said, right, Sammy, here's the thing. This little boy is going to rely on you. You've got to make the decision. And sure enough, I did. I even moved town. I moved town to a town where there's probably about 400 people. And, moved town and got rid of all the friends. I was lonely. I was isolated, but I was out of the reach of drugs and that lifestyle. But yeah, it's a bit of a crazy story.
Absolutely, but what a gift, that somebody up there, I mean, I call him God, but you can call him whatever you want, but it was a gift to you, and you had the strength to, grab that with both hands and pull through the early stages of recovery, because that is the most difficult time, when you're going through depression and isolation from, when you don't have anybody to walk with you and everything in your world, seems messy and too hard to deal with. You pulled through that, and all strength and power to you, because that's awesome. You're a living example that if you can do it and I can do it, other people out there, if you're hearing this message, guys, we're doing this, we're sharing with you because you can do it too. Don't think that, you're stuck there.
His advice is just, if you haven't got anything good in your life, well, I was lucky that I got my son, but if you don't have anything good in your life, find it. There is something that you might not see it in the world, the unreal, drug world. You might not see that something good, but I guarantee you there is something good. Even the air, the fresh air. And that was a big thing for me, and everyone laughs at me when I go on about it, because I get asked the question, what's one of the best memories and the best things that you can remember once you gave up? And to me, that was the air around me. It was such a, just like you take a deep breath, when you're on drugs, but you don't actually appreciate that beautiful air going in your mouth. And then, like in the real world, now that I'm completely clear, I breathe in and I just think, wow, how amazing. And, now I don't say, look, I don't like to rub in the face if I can do it, everybody can do it. But honestly, if that's the truth, if, I can, I'm pretty sure a lot of people could really give it a go. And, you just got to have that tiny bit of kick in you. You're a pretty strong person, like, to be going through what you're doing now, so you could be even stronger in just saying goodbye to it. There's so much support in our world. There is. And, you're not alone. You're not alone. Everybody's got a neighbour that, unfortunately, I can't remember the statistics, but I'm sure that you probably remind people. But, the statistics, it's pretty much near guaranteed that everyone's got a neighbour that's addicted in some way to something. And unfortunately, ice is it's the new ice age, I feel, and we've got to really find a way to stop it, because it's just ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it spread. Not at all.
Well, I was in a meeting today with some police, and they are telling us, some of the stories out there, and it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, Sammy. Because we want to stop that cycle. We want to stop the next generation, your son, and my grandchildren. Your children out there. We want to be able to tell them where they're actually going if they say yes to this drug. I hear a lot of people go, oh yeah, we know that there's this ice problem, and I go, do you know what it looks like? And they go, well, no. Would you know if I actually laced your marijuana with it or cut your ecstasy tablets with it? Did you know that it comes in different colors? Do you know how to take it? Do you know that it can be put in water? You know, you need to know these things, and we want to get out there and talk about this and bring it out to the light. And you know, our educators have been trained with they've had lived experience, but they've been trained to actually go into the next generation, to our youth, to actually share this information and have a workshop with them so that they can start talking about what they think, what they've heard, and tell them really what it's really about, because it's not a nice world. As you said, you know, you were living in a place where, you know, you saw people die, you know, you saw some horrific scenes that you have to live with, you know, for the rest of your life. You know, the flashbacks, they come back, we all get them, and I say to the kids, you don't have to go there. You don't, you know, have a listen to somebody that's been there. I don't know about you, Sammy, but you know, some of the health repercussions from ice use. I mean, you look absolutely stunning now, and but you know, you're telling us some of the stories about not healing on your face and the scabbing and you know, lingering.
I've still got scars.
Like scars around my chest area, because as I said, I'd be even with the tweezers. So around my chest area, I get the shakes still a little bit. But yeah, I'm so lucky. I really am. And like, as I said, something up there is blessing the crap out of me. It's absolutely blessing the crap. But like, even to the stage where my brain still has the capacity to, you know, go back and get my first ever, you know, certificate at TAFE. And, you know, I've even started my own community group in Bendigo. Not so much helping people who are addicted. I do see a lot of people, because Bendigo's unfortunately even been listed as one of the top places at the moment. I think it's up this way. So it's really, really bad up here, and it's scary bad. And, you know, like, yeah, have you heard much about Bendigo at all, or?
Well, we do hear, the thing is, we speak to a lot of places around Australia and remote areas as well. And the thing is, people, you know, they all say the same thing. It's the worst here. You don't understand. It's really bad here. It is really bad in a lot of pockets around Australia. That's the reality. There's areas, you know, there are areas that police have told us they don't go to. It's no-go zones, you know. So, and this is in Queensland, you know, so New South Wales borders, and you know, so it's bad everywhere, you know. And our heart is to stop people getting on that drug. How many more rehabs do we continue to open? How many more jails are going to be full of people? How many more service providers are going to be inundated? Or our mental health capacity is at, you know, skyrocket. You know, that our facilities, you know, they just can't take any more people in. Where does that stop? You know, and we've got to actually do something different. And we believe that, I don't know about you, Sammy, but you're going to tell me the same thing, and everybody I've spoken to, if you could just see a mirror of the future of what you were going to have to go through, you know, your choice to pick up that drug that day may have been very different. I know mine was, definitely. I wish I'd have known.
Because there are aspects in my life that probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't go through what I did. But I would never, ever, ever, like, you know, some of the stuff, like the anguish of it all. It's, you know, and what I put my family through and my friends through. You know, I'm so grateful that I've got my son, and I'm so grateful I live in a beautiful home now. And I'm so grateful, you know, as I said, I run a group, and I see a lot of, you know, people that unfortunately the drug of their choice hasn't taken them the same path as it did for me. You know, and that's the reality for 90% of people that touch the stuff, actually more. And I think we're the very lucky ones, if that makes sense. We're like, you know, we're just the lucky ones, and you know, it's not lucky for everybody. It isn't. And I'm not going to sit on camera and tell everybody, you know, you're all going to be roses like me. Unfortunately, the reality is that it does it. It wipes out so many people, and just okay, don't do it.
Definitely, it definitely does.
Don't.
We explain, it's 2% of people that become out of 100 people becoming addicted on ice, only 2% of those will actually come out the other side. So, our heart is to stop people actually trying it. Our message is not even once. Don't try it. You don't need to go there. You need to be aware of it. You need to make your kids aware of it. It's going to be offered to your child. It's going to be offered to your loved ones. We've got people from lawyers, doctors, nurses, like you said, it doesn't discriminate. It's not just the youth. It's, it's across the board. Today I heard an amazing stat. Somebody said, within the sporting, football and NRL and the sporting arena, and it's just rampant through there, and everybody's being offered this because they know that there's money there. In the mines, people are getting offered that and pushed. They know where the money is, so it doesn't discriminate. You're going to get offered it. You need to be aware what it is, what it's going to do to you, so you can make a really well assessed choice, judgment while you have your brain. So that's our heart, to be able to warn and lay it all out. Scary or not. We have some pictures that we show, of people who have started, using ice and 6 months down the track, and a year down the track, and 5 years down the track. Some of them look like they're dead. Is this what you want? Does that sound like fun to you? So that's what we've got to bring the reality.
Last month would have been, and as I said, I lost, I think it was like 60 kilo roughly, and just my eyes, like, they're evil. My eyes were evil. They had no sparkle. My cheeks were sunken. My son's trying to sorry, he's been begging me to say hi. Just the difference. My skin, it had no moisture. It just sucks the absolute life out of you. And on the drug, I've never felt more prettier. And it's funny that it gave you that thought. It must be the frontal lobe that you were just talking about before. And in reality, I wasn't what I was thinking I was at that time. I thought I was just beautiful and glamorous, and no one can compare to me, and I could get any guy that I wanted. And really looking back, I'm just like, yuck, like, whoa, sores everywhere. And really, it gives you a different state of mind.
Yeah, and that's the mental health aspect of it, and it makes you believe things that aren't true, and that people are talking about you, that you can see those figures, and it's the psychosis, and couple that with anxiety, paranoia, lack of sleep, anger, because there's a chemical in the brain called serotonin that gets depleted, so that sparks up anger and impulse action. So it's, you're kind of like a time bomb waiting to happen in a world that's not real. And so it's a very dangerous place to live, both for the addict but also for people around them. So they need to be aware of what's going on in here. Many people have hurt their loved ones.
And you just said something really, actually, I just want to touch on what you just said regarding the lack of sleep and stuff too. So, I was compensating. So after about, I think 8 days I counted was the longest I stayed up, that was without sleep, and that was using a lot of ice, a lot. And then I was smoking marijuana at the same time. So really, I was just like a zombie. I was awake, but I was like a zombie. I was driving around. I was, that could have killed anybody around me. I don't even know how I didn't kill myself driving around. But even walking around, because I lived in Frankston, and that's a pretty hardcore kind of a place back then. And I used to walk the streets of Frankston, and alone as a woman, just walking around off my face, I didn't realize the danger. And that was, a sleep trance, but I was awake. You just don't realize the dangers, and medically, anybody who doesn't get 8 days sleep should be, not with us today. That's not, they're not well. Something's not right. So how does ice enable people to do something like that? There is, as I said, it's something in that drug that is just, it's not, it's superhuman. It's beyond superhuman. And that's what's scary, because we just don't know what it is that can put somebody in a state like that. And it can be anything,
And it's an upper and a downer at the same time, and it's because of the what it does to the brain, and it starts to kill off neurological pathways in the brain. You end up in this world. Sammy, I want to go into, because we haven't got a lot of time. Like, you've been really clear about like where that took you, and thank you for really sharing in depth about that. But I guess we have a lot of families watching, and they're probably asking questions like, how did you actually do it? Did you make a decision, and then did you take yourself out of the environment that you were in by moving to another state? Did you have people around you to help you through the areas where you wanted to suicide and when you were in depression? Tell me a little bit about how that panned out for you.
Yeah. Oh, you're right, darling? My son just fell off a chair. There we go. No, you're right, darling. Sit down. Yeah, no, so like I did have one friend who took me in on her couch. Before that I didn't, because I pushed everyone away, and the only friends that I had were drug friends. And drug friends, they're not your friends. They're just hanging around you. They're people that you hang around to get drugs, or they're hanging around you to get drugs. But then I met a girl who took me in. She was an addict herself. And the funny story goes with that is she fell pregnant at the same time that I did. And mind you, she's clean as well now, so she got clean as well. But I still didn't quite give it up. It was more so the lifestyle around it, because I had those friendships, and they were all I knew in that lifestyle, and I was scared to approach normal people. I couldn't go to play groups or anything like that, or social groups. I was just too scared to talk to normal people. And I ended up just saying, you know what, the only way I'm going to be completely clear from this and not go back is to move to a town far, far away from Frankston. And I did, and I moved to a little town called Rochester. And unfortunately, look, it's very prevalent in Rochester, really bad at the moment up that way. But as you said, it's like that everywhere. But I didn't know anybody. I knew my auntie, but I wasn't close. But I didn't know anybody. I didn't know bad influency friends. And, me and my son just, it wasn't easy. But as I said, the isolation got me. I'm not used to a small town. We stuck it out for 12 months, and I got clean just instantly. I had to. And it was more just the guilt on myself. Like, how could have I done all that on the ice? If my mum knew, like, how disgusted she would be. I never admitted to my mum I was on the ice until like a couple of years ago. I always said the speed, because in her generation, speeds, they understand what speed is. But if I had have told her what ice was, it would have been, I felt like she wouldn't have been able to handle it, because she wasn't educated herself on the ice. So when I told Mum I was on the ice, I shattered her, but she was really understanding. You just have to do what you got to do. My son's got nobody else, so I had to get clean, and I didn't want to see him in the welfare system, and I didn't want him to not have a mum. And he's the most beautiful little boy ever, and that was why my one chance at being a parent. I wasn't gonna, throw it away, and I didn't want to, and I don't want to mess up my only chance at that. And that's get clean now. Don't go back to Frankston. And I haven't, and like literally it's been 6 years now. So 6 years, and I haven't picked it up, and and I even gave up cigarettes last year. So everything, I've just given it all up now. Given it all up.
Sweetheart, you look amazing for it, and you're an absolute inspiration. I really know that a lot of people are going to get a lot out of you sharing your story today, because it can be done. It's not easy. Like you, I remember going through the suicide thoughts, the depression. I moved as well from another state. I really am all for, get yourself out of that environment, connect with new people. I'm sure if you had known we were here, you probably would have connected with us for support. We're here to support you guys. If you're out there and you're struggling with addiction and you don't know who to talk to, and the world outside seems too scary to connect with, we've actually been through that cycle of addiction. We've actually been in that world, and we understand. We're not here to judge, but we're here to hold your hand and to walk with you into a better place, where you have a life worth living, and it's amazing. It's absolutely worth it, and you're worth it.
And I mean, as you just said, if somebody wants to help you, don't knock that back. Take that help. If you want to do it yourself, do it yourself. That's, you make that choice. But if you can't do it yourself, don't be embarrassed to ask for help. Don't be. And as you just said, I would have definitely, if I had have known that you guys were around. I'm so excited that I seen you on the news. I was so excited. I had to jump straight on your page, and I'm glad I did. I just wish that yous were around at my time, instead of the syringe mobile, I suppose. So yous would have been just so much more beneficial for me, at that time, even just to hear, just so I'm not going through it alone. And I really praise you guys.
Well, you're part of this journey now too, Sammy, because what you're sharing today, goes up on our library. People can tap into that. They can hear your story. You're an inspiration, and they, if they could just understand that if you can do it, and I can do it, and others in our group, all around Australia, we've got 104 volunteers. Other people who've come out of recovery, have come into recovery and out of addiction, have come on board like yourself to help, whether it's through sharing their story or being a buddy to somebody that needs a friend to help them through the emotional side of things, or sorting out stuff, or how to find a rehab, or how to connect to services. That's what we do. Whether it's being employed with us, going into the schools and sharing your story. So there's different ways that people can become involved and make a difference. So today, Sammy, you've actually made a difference that's going to impact and have a ripple effect, from you sharing your story. So I'm really grateful that you were able to do that, and I encourage you to stay online, on our Facebook page, because after this, some of our shows hit up to 22,000 people, and people ask questions, and they might want to reach out to know, to ask you a question. So I encourage you to stay online, and and just check every so often, every few days, every couple of hours at first, to see if there's some questions that you can answer. Guys, do we have any questions out there? Leanne, do we have any questions at the moment? Not at the moment. We do have our care team online. So if anybody's out there and they're hearing this story and they're contemplating, maybe I could reach out for help, now's the time to do it. Yeah, you can do that by sending us a private message, or you can call us on our 1-800 No to ICE. 1-800-NOTOICE, and our care team are there. They're all people who have had lived experience, and they're there to help, and to connect you with resources and buddies. So, Sammy, we do this with everybody that comes on the show. You're not next to me, but I can see you on a screen. Right down the barrel into your camera. If you could sum everything up in one word, what could you explain ice addiction, in that world? What, in one word, if you had to put one word on it, what would you say it was?
The very unexpected, because it's scary living in that world, but the other world's so much better. This world's amazing. It is.
Well, Sammy, thank you so much for sharing your heart. And do you know our? Do you call it a slogan?
Yeah.
I don't know, you
teamwork.
call it a slogan? I don't know what it
Neo.
is. I have to teach you our NEO. So we have a hand symbol that goes like this. N, not even once. So you can teach that to your son, and maybe he can teach it to his friends. So guys, not even once. Guys, don't touch ice. It's not going to do you any favors. It's going to destroy your life, like Sammy's been sharing. And if you have any questions or you want to connect with us, please give us a call. Our web address is www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. Sammy, thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you for this opportunity.
Guys, good night, Australia, and we'll speak to you soon. We'll see you next Thursday. Don't forget your raffle tickets.
Yeah, get your Mother's Day tickets. Go online.